Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today, baldiness is next to godliness when we get dressed to kill with Nova's daringly deific Assuri skin. Okay, so let's not bury the lead here. This is one wackadoo skin. Tons of metal, ceramic detailing, layered fabric, untintable sections, a strange floating headpiece, and by far one of the coolest energy effects to date. It's easy to see why this is a very polarizing skin. Me, personally, I was not sold on this thing from the get-go, and once I got my hands on it, I was feeling even less enthused. However, after a bit of toying around with the color scheme, I do have to admit that my appreciation for it has gone way up. This was definitely not a safe skin design choice by any means, and I have to give credit where credit is due. It takes a lot of balls to release something this non-traditional. Now, you can pick up the Nova Asuri skin in the market for 165 plat. However, as with every deluxe skin so far, picking them up in the bundle will get you a couple exclusives that you won't be able to access otherwise. In this case, for only 60 plat more, you'll get the Danavai Syandana, which is less a Syandana and more a cute little wiggly stuffed toy with a big flaccid metal dick, as well as the Rashasi polearms skin, which admittedly is pretty damn gorgeous and is the very first weapon skin offered in one of these bundles that affects the entire category, which I think is a fantastic idea, and a part of me is hoping that they'll retroactively make the rest of the deluxe weapon skins available for the entire category as well. The Nova Assuri skin collection in its entirety can be picked up in the market for 225 plat. Okay, so I think that one of the big things that is making it difficult for players to warm up to the skin collection is mainly the fact that it can be a bit of a pain to customize. It's one of those skins that is quite easy to make look terrible and a bit trickier to get something truly gorgeous out of. The process itself is a bit complex. You have to pick 3 well-balanced tones, whether they be gem tones, pastels, neutrals, or etc., then figure out which shade of off-white works the best to finish it off. And honestly, there won't be any suggested tones in this one, as each individual tone is highly dependent on the rest of the scheme to support it. Now, jumping right in, the core concept to get the Assuri skin to look right is to balance her secondary, tertiary, and accent tone with each other. So where I would start is just by picking one color you really like, and don't make the mistake of getting too attached to its placement. Next, select 2 tones that work well with it. Find something with the same intensity and for the most part the same temperature. As you can tell with this pastel, I literally went up the far side of these 3 rows and took my pick. Afterwards, it was just about swapping them around till I got a placement that looked right. Now, for those of us with a decent amount of palettes and a good eye, this theory can be used on various types of shades. As you can see, I went ahead and did one completely out of neutrals, once again maintaining color intensity, but slightly shifting the shades to give a very dimensional effect. Now, if you don't mind playing it safe with your neutrals, you can mix things up by substituting one of these tones with something that's got a bit more pop. However, don't try to push it and add in more than one, because things start to look a bit wonky. Instead of trying to add a second accent tone to a neutral composition, I suggest just going balls to the walls, because the original rule of 3 matching intensities and 3 similar temperatures also works with brights. However, juggling bright tones is a bit more tricky. You may have to swap around where each of your colors are placed until you get something that doesn't look absolutely nuts. In addition, specifically for brights, you want to make sure that your primary tone, you know, the one that we haven't really talked about this entire time, is an off-white that unifies the entire look with the appropriate temperature. You can try this with black if you like, but I find that since the untintable portion of the skin is a dark gray, to me it just doesn't look right. But you know, you do you. Now, as for energy color, honestly, you get a free pass. If you've got a lot of shit going on, I suggest matching it to your accent tone. But if your selections are similar enough, you can get away with tossing in a color that completely juxtaposes the rest of the look. However, whatever you choose, just be glad that you made it to this point. Now that that's over and done with, let's get dressed. So all in all, I'm actually a pretty big fan of Nova's Assuri skin. Now, I can see why some players may not be as enthused about it, as it is quite a departure for the norm. However, I personally find it to be really refreshing not to see sexy skin _003 to try and pander to player expectations, which is one of the biggest reasons I've always loved the DE art department. While they may potentially have made a shit ton more money by making something more digestible by the masses, they instead decided to release something truly unique. Now, while there are many praises to be sung, there are a few blatant lacking places where the skin does fall short. The headdress feels a bit stark, not nearly ornate enough to stand on its own. It definitely could have used an energy effect during casting in order to fill it out a bit and make it feel like it's got a bit more purpose. In addition, while I absolutely love the multiple arms it's bring out during casting, they definitely should have been affected by energy color. Now this is one day after launch and it may just be a bug preventing the tintability, but if your color setup doesn't use yellow or pink, then they tend to stick out like a sore thumb. Like 4 sore thumbs actually. Which just goes to show that not even DE in all of their glory can pull off a decent hand job. So thank you all for watching another episode of Dress to Kill. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to check out my previous episode on the Takelu collection, but don't forget to keep an eye out for the trailer for my super secret project, which is coming very soon. Now don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay drop dead gorgeous.